What's up, everybody? It's about that time for another edition of the Crew Radio Show. I'm Kevin Swan, co-host of the show, and the crew are professional people who are also friends that come together to talk about the things you want us to talk about. We talk about it all, and we don't hold back. So come on and join us for another edition of the Crew Radio Show. Welcome to the crew, everybody. Hey, Jason, stop the music, man. Stop the music. Listen, y'all. The band is all back together. We got the bass player, the drummer, the guitar player, the piccolo player, the trumpet player. We got everybody back for the first time this season. All contract negotiations have been worked out.
Oh my God.
We got all the agents have resolved the issue. Never mind that we almost at Christmas, but we ain't gonna say that about that. We got everybody
He can't help
back.
himself. He can't help himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats.
Dogs and cats.
Disrespectful.
Alvin is back.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you, Alvin.
I am so glad to be back with my family. I've missed y'all.
Miss
We
you
missed
too.
you too.
Something
Yeah.
terrible.
And-
the
and
group chat is just not enough.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not the same
not.
thing as being in the
And
being in the presence.
listening audience misses that voice right there, right?
Listen,
that
I miss
sultry,
them too.
Hey,
I
y'all,
get,
welcome to.
I get messages. I see them in the street. I love y'all. I want you to know I love y'all, and I love you all for the way you love us on the show. I mean,
Absolutely.
the amount of times I pass folks, and they're just like, "I love the show. I love you guys."
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Well,
beautiful.
you don't have to give us the reasons. I think we know, but the audience has been wondering where you've been.
Like, where she
You know,
been?
and I ain't trying to tell your business, but so we ain't got to answer the question no more because everybody be asking us.
Like, what
And we'll go
happened?
with
know.
whatever answer you
And,
give.
you know, and can you pronounce your name, please? Because
I know,
everybody
they
be
love
pronouncing
to-
Alvin, and
I know,
it's-
and I'm like,
help
no,
people
I am
know
not
what your
a
name is.
75-year-old woman rocking on a porch. It is not
Please
Alvin.
help people know what your name is,
Yes,
please.
my name is Alvian.
Alvin.
Okay, said real smooth like water. Alvian.
Alvin. Right.
It does sound like water.
It does sound nice, doesn't
Alvian.
it?
It should be like a paint color. What color you want your walls? Alvian.
Alvin. So we're glad to have you back. Tom, what's up, man? You doing all right, man?
I am. I have on these glasses because today is just a chill day.
It's chill
This
day.
is fun time.
This is fun time.
We ain't used to
That
fun time.
sounds
You don't know
like
what
a
to do.
setup.
We don't know what to do
It
with you, man.
sounds like
It's
a
not like a
setup.
setup. Really? Time is a lot of fun though.
No, I trust.
You know when I'm doing my other
I was about to lie.
By the end of
when
the
I'm
show.
doing my other shows, you know, I laugh a lot. I have a lot of fun, but we deal with a lot of serious topics.
We do.
And so, you know, it's kind of hard to laugh when you're dealing with serious topics. You know, last show, I wore my I Will Shank You t-shirt.
See?
did?
So, you know.
No glasses for that show.
No glasses for that show. You know, I had on my lock you up glasses. Today, I'm just chill. I'm just chill.
Just chill today.
I'm chill.
Okay. All right. See, are you in the building?
I am here. I am present and accounted
Yes,
for.
you are.
Yes.
And she have on her leather shirt.
I do.
says-
But it's about that football because, you know.
Football is good.
It is. I am loving this season so far. So
Steelers gotta win.
doing
That's right.
well.
Yes,
The
Steelers just
Eagles
gotta
are
win.
doing well.
Yes.
I'm fine.
I like
I'm
Jalen.
good.
And last but not least, we're not sure
And Saquon.
who he is today. If he's Bishop, if he's just regular Jay.
Professor.
We
Peace-
don't know.
peace in the valley,
We
peace
know
in the
he's our
valley.
producer. That's what we know.
Yes.
Mr. Covington, how are you, sir?
God bless you, sir. How are you?
I feel like that was code for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great to see you.
Great to see you, sir.
to see you. I love you.
Love you, sir.
Yeah, I love you so much.
All right. So we got all that out the way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Alvin, you know, we've been talking a lot about this election here. And a lot of stuff been going on.
A lot has.
And you know, we definitely missed your perspective and takes on how you see the world. And so we're gonna start with you because we haven't heard your voice yet. And so you're looking at the election, you saw the outcome, you saw the results.
I did.
A little bit more each day is starting to come out
Indeed.
in terms of how we got here. And so what were your initial thoughts on the election results?
Okay, so I'm going to tie this back to the question that you originally posed, or the statement that you made as we were opening about me being gone
Where you
for
been?
as long as I've been. So what most of you all don't know is that my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and if we don't count Jesus, they are suggesting that there is a potential end date associated, but we serve an awesome God.
Yes, we do.
right? So I have made the decision that I am absolutely willing to accept sadness when the day comes, hopefully very long from now. But what I will not live with is regret. And that is to say that I am making every moment I possibly can to spend time with her.
As you should.
And to enjoy our time together, because if I get 10 more years, I will not be sorry that I got 10 more years. If I get 10 more days, I will not be sorry how I spent my 10 days. So, but it does tie directly to this election, in that my mom, in her current diagnosis, still managed to get out of bed and go vote for Kamala Harris.
Wow.
She said no matter how bad she felt, no matter what was going on, no matter what the doctors said, she was going to vote. And the thought that sits with me is, what excuse do any of us have
Come on.
for why we didn't engage?
Come on.
What is our excuse? And I am so tired of hearing, I don't like either of the candidates, I don't this, I don't that, all of that, and look, we are all allowed to feel however we want to feel. And I'm not taking that away from you. I'm not telling you who you should have voted for and shouldn't have voted for. I am just saying that for us, particularly with a large listening audience who are people of color, blood was shed for us to have the opportunity to do what we take for granted every single election. And I say every single election, not every 4.
Right.
I'm talking about local elections, because they impact you even more than national elections do. But just the fact that we assume always, and it's such a obnoxious privilege that we are operating with, that we have the right to decide that I don't want to engage. And I recognize that technically we do. But as people of color, it is disrespectful to our ancestors who were willing to be strung up on trees so that their children and their children's children and their children's children for 1,000 generations will have the opportunity to have their voice counted and heard, because it was seen as what made us human. It wasn't even about whether we were black or we were white. It was that we were fighting for our humanity. And our vote gave us the opportunity to be seen as a whole human, counted in America. So the fact that we've got folks that we've gotten so comfortable that we don't think that it is necessary for us to still engage, and my mom could face death in the eye and still decide she is getting up to go vote, we have no excuse.
No, we don't. And before we go further, our thoughts and prayers are to you and to your family.
I appreciate that.
And to your mother. Certainly, we, like you said, God is a healing God.
Yes, he is.
God is sovereign.
Yes, he is.
And God can do what God can.
Yes, he is.
So we trust in that moment.
Amen to that.
Having said that, I do want to ask both of you, Sia and Alvian, about this election, because it was definitive, whether we like the results or not. Trump won most swing states. Every demographic category suggests that he increased in the areas from previous election. Do you see this loss for you all as more of an indictment on the party or more of an indictment on how people feel about black women?
So I do want to clarify that since the last time we talked about the election, more votes have been counted.
Correct.
And so that, I think they were saying it was like 10 million vote swing or whatever. So the percentage by which Trump won is significantly smaller than before.
Okay.
And it is now, I can't remember the exact number, but I'll say within 2 points. So there is no mandate. And when you further break it down, it looks like within the swing states, about 250,000 votes are what really separated it. And then when you go in and you divide that amongst the number of, localities and the number of precincts, this was, I think they said, the closest election and the lowest number of electoral votes that went to the winner since like one of the elections in 1800. So it was not the blowout that it looked like it was the night or so after election. So then I go and I start thinking about, okay, so the people that voted for Trump, I think that is definitely an indictment of their own hatred. Because I'm not going to turn it on black women because her being black and her being woman are not why she lost. It is the anti-blackness and anti-womanness of the people that decided to vote for him. So let's be very clear, because I was not born with a curse. I was born with what some people hate, and that's on them. That's their choice. But I think what we have to think through when we're talking about the messaging or the platform of the party are not the people that voted for him, not the ground that we've lost from different demographic groups that voted for him. It's the hundreds and thousands and millions of people that stayed home. And I think to Alvian's point, not only is it a right and a privilege to do that exercise, but it is also, I think, up to those that are running in order to not only offer something for them to show up for, but to offer it in a way that resonates. And so I think as we're looking at some of the exit polling, as we're looking at some of the plans, I will accept some burden on the Democratic Party. But we have to dig into it. So when folks are saying, oh, the working class. Okay, so he had no policies for the working class because when he did say tariff, he was saying it the wrong way. And the working class are going to be paying more for groceries if he gets his way with the tariffs. So there was no policy over here. And then you say, okay, not only the tax credit for those that have new babies, you got the first time homeowner down payment, you have increase in the minimum wage, and on and on and on. And so there were actual policies that went toward the working class. But one thing that I do not accept from that critique is that 92% of black women voted for her.
They sure did.
And many of those 92% of black women that voted for her are absolutely working class. So when you hear a lot of critique about the working class not being the ones that stuck with the Democratic Party, understand that they are saying the white working class. And so even that and the erasure of black people in the analysis. And then what we are about to see is the cost of living go up exponentially, whether it's because of the mass deportations, and so you end up not having the people that will work for these low, ridiculous wages and these terrible working conditions. So your head of lettuce is about to cost about $10, you know, and so on and so on. But then there's also the fact that there's a potential that economists are calling for a recession, a whole recession.
Sure
It is.
Yeah.
And we've already seen a Trump-appointed judge block Biden's attempt to get more overtime pay to workers. So we're already starting to see the impact of it. So when people say we didn't connect with the working class, what I also hear is there were some working class people that we absolutely connected with. And then there were some people...
the white working
class.
They
do, right. And then there were some people that decided to say economics was it, but they were willing to put an entire half of this nation in harm's way in order to save $1 on their eggs. And to me, that's not because of economic policies. That goes back to the ability to either be... indifferent to hatred, adjacent to hatred, or actively in hatred.
So yes, I agree with that, and I'm gonna ask you the same question, because it wasn't just the economy; it was the war also. You had a lot of Arabs that felt like they wanted to send a message, right? They wanted to say to Kamala or the Democratic Party, "We're not voting for you because you're supporting Israel." So we know that there was, but on the surface of this, you have a multi-time convicted felon. Who was twice impeached in his first term versus a black woman who had all her ducks in a row, who had policies, who had a list of things, who had all the stuff. He did not have any of that. And she still lost. For you seeing this, you being a black woman, you know what it's like being a black woman in white corporate America. Is this more of an indictment on the party or how the country feels about black women in leadership and leading and being actually the president of the United States?
So the thing that's so challenging about this particular election is that I think that there are so many layers that are associated with how we got to where we are. I think our mistake would be to oversimplify it to some false binary situation, because it's not that. It is history, it is legacy, it is legality, it is racism, it is gender bias, it is, there's so many things that are present in the same space. So much so, I had conversations with multiple young black men. And when I say young black men, I'm talking about under 35. And in those conversations, many of who voted for Trump did not tell me, might I point out, prior to, because they knew my conversation would be quite different. And I'm not, let me be clear, I'm not anti-Republican in any form or fashion. I am anti-criminal, and I'm anti-lack of character. Okay, my biggest decision maker in who I will vote for is based on the character you display as a leader. Okay, so that for me is not, that doesn't belong. Character doesn't belong to a party, but it is displayed in different party policies, politics, procedures, and ways in which people present. So their response was that part of the reason I didn't vote for Kamala, two primary responses when we talk about the working class. Okay, one, I don't really think she's for black men because she curls up with a white one every night. So that was statement one. And statement two, that if you basically...
Ow, first of all, they're laughing at you because I brought this up.
Did you say that?
I said this and hold on, but they shot me down.
Oh, no.
Yes, you did.
Who is that?
Yes, you did.
Who is that?
Hold on, Jay.
Roll the tape.
Jay. Did they shoot me down?
I wasn't with that conversation.
Kev shot me down.
No, I did not shoot you down over there.
Jay,
I'm going to tell you right now.
Bro.
Jay,
We
you
just
got
need
the
to-
We're going to
record.
need you to have to pull that.
I'm laughing at-
and roll it back.
I'm laughing,
Jay.
It was funny the way he came.
Jay.
They shot me
They
down.
shot me down, Jay. They shot me down.
I thought you was in your happy place.
I am in my happy
said
place.
your happy place.
Affirming what's the setup. We know what's the setup.
Merely affirming the facts.
I'm just, it's
That's
a
what he's
fact.
saying.
You know, it's just,
I was laughing at the hypocrisy of it because you got black men who are celebrities who date white women all the time.
yeah, but you said specifically, I'm gonna bring it up in the, I'm gonna find.
He said he gonna bring out his receipts.
I keep a stenographer on my payroll.
Yes, you do.
And so I bring it up to let the record reflect. Now, all I'm saying is I brought it, let the record reflect.
And turn their hand, Tom.
Yeah. So I said
not
that to
funny,
them,
it's
and they said that we have progressed.
Oh, no, we have
beyond
not.
that. And I said,
No,
oh,
we
no,
haven't.
we have
It
not.
didn't sound like something we would say because we
No,
know
we
progress is.
We most certainly
I'm telling
haven't.
you, I brought that issue up. I said, I'm telling y'all right now, one of the issues that she's dealing with, particularly with black men, is because
She's married to a white
man.
one. And what's worse is that from their perspective, because part of us being more successful is understanding the perspectives, not trying to prove our point, but let's understand where people stand, right? Is that, first of all, she already has a history as a prosecutor. There was already the issue
Brought that up.
associated with how many black
And
men
we
she
supported
put
you
in
when you put that.
jail.
You did. You
okay?
supported that part. You supported that part.
So when you have a history of what is perceived as aligning with, and I'm not saying criminality is criminality. I'm not arguing that, okay? You don't apologize for putting real criminals in jail
I
no
sure
matter what
don't.
color you are. So that's not what we're talking about. We can't hold a single thing against her about that. I'm saying there are issues around marijuana and drug charges and those kinds of things that now are legal that then were not, and how vibrant she was about her work years ago in putting so many black men in jail from their perspective. This is not about mine. This is not about mine. This is their perspective. And then you affirm, as far as they're concerned, your lack of love for black men, not just in your professional position,
But in your personal.
but in your personal life. And who our black women sleep with, despite what our black men do all the time. but who we sleep with for them is very defining of where our passions rest. And so the fact that she's curled up with a white man for them was just affirmation that she was never for us, but now she wants our vote. And we have to stop assuming that we are dealing with high level information communities. We are not.
Ever.
No, you're right. Because
Like ever.
there was some young men in that same category, I think we talked about this, who said that they leaned toward Trump because he got arrested.
Yep.
And
Which is the
they-
worst
they could relate
solution
to
that's ever.
him.
Yep.
They could relate
They
to
can
him.
relate to him.
Rough.
I mean,
And now you
the
got
most
somebody in the
ignorant.
White House that wants your black self to
Locked
be
up.
racially profiled and locked up at higher numbers than what
Because
we've ever seen.
I am going to give immunity
Yes.
to police officers. He said that was part of his
and
platform.
stop and frisk
So-
is also part of his platform.
Correct. And we saw what happened in New York. If you're not familiar with what happened in New York City, that was a major policy in New York City under, I believe it was Rudy Giuliani. And so as a result of that, you had a lot of black and brown men that were being
And
stopped
Rikers.
on the street. And
Just because.
And they were frisked if they
18
wanted
to
to
25,
frisk. Yes. And so now you're saying you have given them the key to do that.
Whenever
to black
they
and
want.
brown men, you've given them the key that if they do it and they shoot you and it's okay, they got immunity. So you can't sue them anyway.
So what I'm hearing from you, Al, then there were a lot of people that weren't trusting of Kamala for whatever reason, which the reasons don't sound right, but perception is reality.
And one other piece I will say to you, and for those who are fathers, who are not with their mothers, the mothers of their children, they like the idea that there will be, as terrible as this sounds, but I'm just going to give it to you raw, that there will be less support from a social service perspective for single mothers so that their able-bodied baby mamas who are living off of them will have to go get a job for the kids instead of it pulling money out of their paycheck every other week.
Now, I know that to be true.
So they were like, they said, I'm sorry that some of the kids are going to suffer a little bit, but I'm so sick and tired of this chick, this chick using my money to go get her hair done and her nails done, and my babies don't even look clean and dressed properly, but she's digging in my paycheck. And I know that he is not going to be in support of those kind of women, and good for them because I'm tired of being used. So like I was surprised by the answers when I really started to ask, help me understand why you made that decision.
But see, and this is when you're talking about like the low information and why like the synapses just are not firing. Because a lot of those children are the very children that the Department of Education serves. So you are more focused on the get back on your baby mama than actually making sure that your children need what they need.
Why are you shocked by that?
No, I'm not. Okay. So I'm not shocked by that on a one-on-one level because we've had that conversation many times.
Correct.
What I am shocked at is the number of people that allow for themselves to get to the point to vote for him because of it. And now all of us have to go through losing rights and losing abilities because you got beef with your baby mama.
1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. 4 + 4 = 8. It adds up. And the problem is you have a number of individuals who do not like what goes down in those relationships. You have a number of men, black men in particular, who have issues with their baby mama, and they will tell you they have issue with baby mama. They say baby mama drama. That's a phrase for a reason.
It is.
And they hate a lot of the things that person may do to the point where they say, if I can get back, I'll get back, and won't be thinking about the unintended consequences because you're responding out of your emotions versus out of rational thinking.
And that's my problem because now your irrational thinking has me and my life in jeopardy. And that's what I'm saying. Like voting and elections, while I love democracy, it is the worst group project imaginable because all these people out here not doing their part, or getting, or worse, getting tricked by the social media platforms that were paid to tell them lies, right? Because that's a whole different story. These are people that are walking into it willingly, right? So now you hate her so much that you were willing to do something against your own interests in order for the get back. So that's the Republican working class who, you know, might live in the areas where hurricanes hit, where we ain't gonna have the weather service or FEMA. Like, just the ability to live your life with so much hate in your heart that you would cut your nose to spite your face is just
it happens
bonkers.
all the time.
Every day.
Yeah.
But to this national level is my point.
Well,
not
I mean,
just on the 101s, but we're talking about the world is feeling this because you and your baby mama got drama.
Yeah, well, I mean, but still, it happens every day. Okay, let's just. We don't learn from history. We were going to do a show on, if you guys remember, 1968.
Yeah.
And the reason we were going to do it, and we still can, but the reason we were going to do a show on 1968 because history repeats itself.
Right.
2024 is 1968 on steroids.
I would say further back.
You would say, but the
This is about to be
things that
1963.
occurred. No, but I'm saying the things that occurred
No,
in
absolutely.
1968 historically, like you had a sitting president who said, "I'm not going to run or accept the nomination,
Right.
the Democratic nomination for president." That was LBJ in that situation. You had Biden in this situation, and eventually your nominee was the vice president. Hubert Humphreys was that in 1968. You have in this situation
Same thing.
Kamala Harris. Okay, and then you had turmoil going on. For us, it's the economy, it's the war with Israel and over in the Arab nations. And so you had Vietnam going on in 1968. And so you had all this conflict. And then eventually you had the Republican nominee win. In 1968, it was Richard M. Nixon. And if you recall, Donald Trump has been using the playbook of Richard M. Nixon. He fought with the Supreme Court over the Pentagon Papers. He said that he had all of this authority as an executive branch, and he could basically do whatever he wanted to do. And then, of course, he was the master architect, if you want to say so, when it came to Watergate, because he knew what went down. He covered it up, and he did a lot of things, a lot of moving pieces to make sure, at least he tried to make sure no one found out to trace it back to the White House. Donald Trump has done all that and then some. He is Richard M. Nixon on steroids. But here's your problem. He has lost the consciousness, or at least I should say his party has lost the consciousness that the Republican Party had in 1968, that the Supreme Court had in 1968.
The
It's gone.
the moral
So
standing.
he controls Congress, he controls the executive branch, and he controls the Supreme Court, who has now said you can commit whatever crime, including murder, while you are a sitting president and have immunity. So we are going to learn the lesson. You wanted a king?
You can
got
have one.
And that's my problem, because even though all of that situation might have happened in 1968, where we, the people, are about to be situated was well before that.
Sure.
Because even the Voting Rights Act of 1965 is about to be trampled on even further. And all of these things. So it's just kind of like, I hear you on the 1968 because of this situation, but we, the people, are going to be back to some 18s on some of this stuff.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what you said, right? Because you're the legal expert here. Because he has control over House, Senate, Supreme Court, and the presidency. Help the listening audience understand what that amount of power can do when it comes to laws or just things that may just be just so bad for us as a people. But because you're so worried about the economy or whatever, you're missing the bigger picture.
So I was talking to a millionaire on Monday, and he voted for Trump. And I knew he voted for Trump. And so I broke this down to him the way I'm breaking it down to you right now. And what I'm doing for the listening audience, you can't see me, but for those who are watching us on our podcast, you can see me writing something out. You just gave him a blank check. Because there's checks and balances in government. The Constitution put it that way. It separated us into the legislative branch, the judiciary branch, and then you had the executive branch. And each one of those branches has checks and balances on one another. If the Congress passed a law that's unconstitutional, you got the Supreme Court that can veto it, or better yet, just say it's unconstitutional and says void. If they pass a law that the executive branch don't like, you got the executive branch that can veto it. If the executive tries to do something, you still got the Supreme Court that can come back and say that's unconstitutional, just like when Biden tried to do the student loans and they came.
Hey, we're halfway through the show. Big shout out to everyone tuning in. Thank you all so much. If you're loving the content, consider supporting us by becoming a sponsor. Just contact us via email at thecrewradioshow757@gmail.com. Now stick around, we've got even more good stuff coming your way.
That can come back and say that's unconstitutional, just like when Biden tried to do the student loans and they came and said that's unconstitutional. So you had checks and balances on each. But he has been strategic for the last 8 years. When he first got into the office and he started appointing Supreme Court justices, that's where he was very strategic and I think very smart, to be quite honest with you. Whoever
I was say it was not him.
Well, I'm sure,
but his
whoever,
people, because it predated him.
Yeah, it did predate him because
Right.
that was the plan, but
Right.
nonetheless, he followed the script.
Yeah.
So you got to give him the credit because he's the one that appointed. But nonetheless, when he got in office, he put in office those 3 justices who have been wreaking terror on our way of living, to be quite honest with you. And so as a result of that, they're peeling back all the different rights. They're peeling back all the different advancements that we have been able to secure over the last, we're going back to the 60s. We're looking
years.
at
So are there any of these that people could feel like, because again, people not really paying attention to this. So what's one of these things that the Supreme Court is doing that maybe people, that we're going to say to them, look.
Abortion.
Okay.
You're feeling it right now. People are dying.
Yes.
Okay.
So abortion. Because doctors are afraid to give medical care, life-saving medical care to women who are not trying to have an abortion. They're trying to save their life.
Right.
And they're having to travel either to other states and on their way to other states, they're dying, they're bleeding out, or they're just bleeding in a hospital and not able to get care. So you're talking about in your face right there, women who are getting pregnant. People are afraid to get pregnant.
Yes.
People are afraid to literally get pregnant.
Because don't forget the maternal health crisis for Black women.
Absolutely.
In general, much less.
So that's why you have midwives that are so popular nowadays, because women are afraid, particularly Black women, are afraid to go to doctors and hospitals because of the high mortality rate.
Yeah.
So that's in your face. The taxes. Now, I'm about to drop a bomb on you in a second. The taxes, now he's able to put whatever tax plan into play as long as the Supreme Court, which he already got them in his pocket, says constitutional. Guess what? He gets to have Congress pass a law. He signed off on it. Supreme Court is his people, so they're going to say it's constitutional. So whatever your tax rate is now, if you're poor, particularly, that tax rate may go up. If not, the tariff's going to take you out. Either way, you're going to be taken out. The rich are going to get richer. The poor are going to get poor. But this is the one that's going to kill everybody. Well, not everybody, but this is the one that's going to kill the poor people. If he rolls back the Affordable Health Care Act.
We're done.
Right.
Like, absolutely
Because
done.
he has the votes. So if he rolls back the Affordable Health Care Act, you're going to have more poor whites that's going to feel that than poor Blacks, because you got those poor whites in the Appalachian Mountains and all over in West Virginia and Tennessee and Mississippi, Alabama, and the Delta. You have all of them who are saying, yeah, Trump, but they don't realize that very health plan that they were able to enroll because they don't have the type of jobs that will afford them benefits.
Right.
So because they are wage earners, they have to rely upon the government lowering the price of health care and being able to afford whatever they're according to the scale that they fit on. Now, if he says, I'm rolling that back, I'm taking that away from you, pre-existing issues.
I was going to say, Tom, it's not just the Appalachian poor.
Yeah.
It's the middle class folks too who are 1 to 2 paychecks away from bankruptcy.
Come on.
That pre-existing condition that allow
Pre-existing,
for
yes.
a lot of us to even afford medical care.
That's right.
You take that back, that cancer treatment now goes back to $6,000 a month.
Diabetes,
All of that.
high blood pressure,
And if you had
high
the
cholesterol.
flu as a child and it messed with your lungs,
Uh-huh.
now
That's
you got,
right.
like all of that.
All of that.
All of that.
All of these things. So if you don't have money, if you don't have investment yet, right now the stock market's doing pretty well. But guess what? The average person can't
Doesn't
afford
have
They
to
can't.
even
Well, and-
get into the stock
And
market.
also, if you're looking at the trends, the folks that have the most in the market are selling in certain sectors.
Sure they are.
Something's coming.
Yeah.
Something's coming.
A
And then-
recession is coming.
Exactly.
But
But the folks that don't have stocks, right? It's not that they're going to lose money in the stocks. It's that they're going to go into Walmart and not be able to afford groceries.
Correct.
So this is what the average person is going at.
But this is my question to you, Sia, and this is the part I've always been frustrated by. We talked about messaging before,
Yes.
with the Democratic Party, right?
Yes.
Because the economy, I read somewhere the other day, it's the best it's been in 50 years.
It is.
Right?
But here is the problem, and why I will only take some of this on the party. Right? So I know that sometimes we give lectures when we should be talking to people. Sometimes we say the middle class when we should say one-on-one, you and Tom will benefit. I get all of that. But when people are telling me that they believe lies and alternative realities, what is the messaging on that? When that man lied to you about how tariffs work, and we said, no, that's not how tariffs work, and not y'all, but the people believed him over her. If people are saying that, it's actually okay, I'll pay $20 for a carton of eggs just so trans kids don't have rights, right? Like, what is the message that we want Democrats to come up with that will not abandon the people that we stand for in order to lie to the people to get them to support us?
But if the economy is doing well, and over here, it's the sky's falling,
Yes.
What counter do you have?
We offered the counter.
Because most people believe that the economy was bad.
So that's the problem. Because now we're
That's the perception.
That's what I'm saying. So now you're getting into believing the perception, not you, but people believing the perception. If the perception is this black woman can't say anything that will make me vote for her, then what message is she supposed to say?
But this isn't about her.
No, it is.
Yes, it is.
No, it is.
This is
I agree.
partly about.
No.
But look, hold on.
It is about her.
It is about her, not
it is-
all about her.
And it is also about the hundreds of millions of dollars that were paid to put into false information for people that we know get their news online. There was nothing she could say because the alternate reality that is not true, that the economy was bad and that it was her and Biden's fault that everything cost so much, right? Because that's what the alternate reality was saying. Not corporate greed, not Kroger's the one that actually sets the prices, but it was Biden's fault that we can't afford anything. That was pumped into TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And that is where a lot of the people that ended up voting for him get the news. So she is literally coming up with one of the best campaigns in our lifetime, full of truth and policy. You tell me what's the message if people are saying, she's not credible, I'd rather believe lies. Oh, by the way, hate is more important. My hate is more important to me than how much eggs cost.
And the question is, would we be here right now having this discussion if Kamala was a white male?
No.
But I'll be honest with you. I think that,
oh, absolutely.
But
oh, absolutely.
But if
Hands
Kamala
down.
was Michelle Obama, I still think we'd be having a different conversation, because I think that we greatly underestimate likability factors. Also,
that's true.
And so because we are not an educated society, and I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, it's just a reality. Okay, so we've processed our world through these spaces in which we are talking to other people. It's the echo chambers. We're talking to other people who think like we do or think on some way at the level we think, right? So we spend most of our time around people somewhat similar to us. Even if they have different positions, they are often at similar education levels. The argument up here and the argument down there are two different arguments. And I'm not calling anybody stupid. I'm just talking about the fact that it's different conversations, period. And so we have to learn to communicate across these lines more effectively. And in that, the more you come down these levels, the more instinct and feeling go up in terms of your decision making. And I tell candidates all the time that I hear what you're saying. I'm not questioning the facts, but please understand that elections are won from the shoulders down, not the shoulders up. And the Democratic Party, we've gotten so committed to the intellectual, smarter, fact-based argument that we are missing the way that humans actually relate.
Which is why I don't believe a white man would have won.
I absolutely think so.
I do not.
So what?
Because let me say why. Let me just say why. What you're saying is that there was nothing that she could have said to go against the lies, right? So then that means their system of how they spread information, even though it's wrong, is better than how the Dems spread information, which is correct.
No, what I was saying was it was easier to discredit a black woman when the majority of the people you're talking to already don't trust the black woman.
So now it is about a black woman. Because I asked you earlier, if the indictment is on black women, you said you didn't want to go there.
Okay. No, that's not what I said. I said that being a black woman is not the curse. It is the anti-blackness and it is the anti-womanness.
It's still speaking to what you're saying. She's just saying
to what
that
you're saying.
Psychologically, I'm not going to own it as a deficit.
And I also want to point out that when Michelle Obama tried to get us healthy lunches, Fox News basically said, keep your hands to yourself, get your hands out my lunch, mind your business. And they treated her just as terribly as they're doing Harris. So I still think, as much as people like Michelle Obama, she still would have ran into the anti-womanness and the anti-blackness. What I do think, and this is not what I'm saying should have happened, but I'm just interested. A Governor Newsom and a Tim Walz. Because the discrediting of the things would not have been based on the same.
So what I think, to be honest with you, I think that, like I said, there's so many different layers to this. One, I think that there's a different outcome that we would have gotten. Not to say that she would have won, but there would have been a different experience had it been Michelle Obama. Part of the reason I think that the Michelle Obama thing would have been different is because Michelle has what Trump has in terms of I can feel you factor. What Kamala is missing, and this is no insult to her, I respect the campaign that she ran. I think she did absolutely the best she possibly could. I would have trained her differently on how she answered some of her questions, but if she were my client. But I think she ran the best campaign she possibly could with what she was working with. What Kamala's issue is, if we take all of the other stuff away, is that her likability factor is not like Michelle Obama's. It's not. And I don't care what anybody tries to say because we want to be supportive of her. You can be supportive of somebody and be honest about something at the same time. I will tell you honestly, I did not like her. But after listening to her over and over again, relating to her as a woman of color navigating the same landmines, I'm with you because I know what you're going through. But we may not have been friends. Where Michelle and I, we would have been girls. There is a factor associated with that.
Let me give you the translation. The translation is vote based on how they feel.
No, I get that. I'm very clear. But I wonder if you would say the same thing if you were thinking about the Electoral College versus nationally. Because one other thing that we did talk about in the previous conversation is a bunch of people expecting her to run a 50-state plan when she's not running for a president in 50 states. She's running for a president in 7 states.
But I think it's the same issue that Elizabeth Warren ran into. She's one of the most brilliant folks that there are. Fact. She's just one of the most brilliant. But she ran into the George Bush. Would you want to have a beer with her? Hillary Clinton was killed by the same thing. Hillary is brilliant. Whether you like her or don't like her, there's no question about her intelligence. She ran the country, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, many a day. But the fact is that people didn't like her. We do not understand how important likability is. People will do things for people they like, even when they do not agree.
What's the message? What's the message then?
So do you think that a lot of people personally like Trump to vote for him?
I don't. No, let me be clear with you. People don't like to acknowledge how much they like Trump.
But they do.
But they actually
connected with him. I don't know if they liked him.
To them, that is their guy, but they know that they shouldn't be proud of that.
They shouldn't be proud of it.
And that's why the exit polls versus the actual polls are always wrong.
That's right.
Because I know I shouldn't be supportive of this guy.
That's right.
But the truth is,
it's taboo.
I mean, that is a reality.
This is why
taboo. That's why I told you this. That's why I said this election had nothing to do with Trump. This election had everything to do with the American people.
Yes.
The indictment is against the American people because they relate to Trump.
Agree.
Something in him is something in him connects to something that is off in them, and as a result of that, they're like, "I'm okay, but I'm not going to tell you."
Yeah, because I know I shouldn't be.
Because I know I shouldn't be.
Because
I know I shouldn't be.
Yes, I agree with that, but I think y'all are letting the party off the hook. And
you mean the Democratic Party off the hook?
And I
think there's lots of stuff to go around.
The party itself has.
Please.
And I will say why.
Please.
Because you were only talking about the top of the ticket. You lost everywhere.
No.
No, you lost Senate.
Hold on.
Wait.
Back it up. No, because we have to set this straight. Yeah. Please understand, there was a historic wave that was happening. There just was. And that, I do believe, was part of the backlash to the perception of the economy. Because there were people that were it was just going to go Republican. But it went less Republican. It went less red wave than it, quote unquote, should have, based with Trump being at the top of the ticket, because every single Democrat under Kamala outperformed her.
Yes.
But you still lost everything.
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying. So there was backlash.
There was some split tickets.
There
were split tickets in Arizona.
North Carolina.
Arizona, North Carolina.
Everybody won
Michigan.
except for Kamala.
If you want to point out individual cases.
No, I'm talking about individual states. We're talking about states. We're talking about different states.
This is hold on. We got to make sure that people understand.
There were states.
The states.
There were states.
Everybody in the state that ran statewide won Democrat when she lost. North Carolina is not the only one. That's just the one I was looking at the most.
Arizona has senator that won. He lost. She lost that. Michigan.
Out trans woman ever to enter into Congress. White woman, the same year that Harris lost.
So what does it mean if you don't have control? This is the point I'm making. You have no advantage in any part of the government.
I do want to walk that back.
What are you walking back? The reality is, you don't have control of the House.
Here's what I would like to walk back, because I do want the people to understand how things work, right? There were a ton of governors that won.
Yes.
They do have control in their state. Also, what was expected to be a 5 to 10 seat advantage for the Republicans to have over the Democrats is a 1 seat advantage now that Matt Gaetz is gone. That is super easy to control, in a sense, from the Democratic influence, because some of those people have to go back and run for re-election in 2 years. So when you saw, even thus far, a couple of the bills that you would have expected to just sail through did not, because people are having to look out for their own selves. Why the recess appointments might not actually happen, because people are having to look out for themselves. Yes, by number, the Republicans might have the House, the White House, the House, the Senate, and and that, but you have to understand it's not just Republicans in charge, it is corruption in charge, and corrupt people look out for themselves and will cut deals with so when I was saying that it goes back before Trump, it's because them loans that were paid off for Clarence Thomas, that was before Trump, but it was all part of being bought and sold. So you now have Republican infighting that is occurring because of corruption, even though they have more numbers.
Of course.
It's not just going to be an easy walk in the park to get everybody to line up for every single thing.
Listen, I'm not suggesting that there were not gains in this whole election cycle. I am simply looking at, like most people, of the reality of what we started with early in this conversation about control and power. And the reality is, if the Democrats don't look and come to terms, not just at the top of the ticket, but like you said earlier, sitting down with people and figuring out how to connect again with the individual and stop taking people for granted. Because there are a lot of black people and a lot of people in communities that feel like Dems just kind of take you for granted. And if you don't come and sit with that, you're going to lose again.
Agreed.
So, and I want an answer to the question, because every time that I have asked this question in this room and otherwise, because I have my open ears on, trust and believe. But when I go around Virginia or when I'm in these different rooms and I say, well, what is that message?
Virginia's blue.
Virginia is not navy blue.
It's not, but Virginia has carried Democrat the last few terms. We're not just talking about Virginia. We're talking about the country.
Okay, the rest of my statement, because I can only speak to the rooms that I'm in. Right? Okay. The rest of my statement is when someone who says the Democrats need to do X, Y, and Z, give me an example. Because before I've heard, well, they need to be better on the economy. You tell them what it was about the economy, but Trump did this, blah, blah, blah. And all I'm saying is, in order to say the Democrats have to learn, and I just said there was nothing that she could have said that could have backed it up. What does that message look like? I have not heard the answer yet. I have not heard the answer of what it is that people want to hear. If you want it based off likability, like how do you get a likable person that is also able to do their job, able to navigate, able to run in whatever, if it's statewide or if it's national, able to run in those 7 states that the election really does come down to. It's like we're looking for this perfect thing. Okay, knock that off. It's not going to be perfect because I don't want to be a part of a cult, right? I want to be a part of a Democratic Party, not a cult. And I just want some specificity in the Democrats need to learn. I just want some specificity in it.
I mean,
national messaging.
We don't have enough time to talk about some specificity,
national
but
messaging.
I could.
So what is the message?
It's when you look at the Republicans, whatever their message is, they stand by it. It's consistent.
But they didn't have a message.
They didn't have a message other than hate.
No. But they did have a message.
It was false.
But we weren't. No. I would say that we weren't hearing the message, and the message is, I don't like the direction America is going. And all Donald Trump had to say is, she broke it, I'll fix it. That is all they needed to hear. One of the things, Adam Grant, if you all read a book, please read Think Again, okay? Like, his work as a psychologist and researcher speaks to so much of this. If we could hire anyone in the Democratic Party to help train our people and how we should actually negotiate our communications, I would highly recommend we do that, y'all. Because what we don't realize is that sometimes our greatest strength ends up being our greatest weakness. We've got facts. We've got history, we've got experience, we've got all of these things. But the problem is we want to argue them all at the same time, and it waters down the primary message. We step on our own messaging by not understanding how marketing actually works. Donald Trump has been wildly, people could say whatever they want about him, he is masterful in being able to get you to focus on one thing 90% of the time. And the simplicity of his statement speaks to the vast majority of voters' education level. So I don't care about all the stuff you're actually going to be doing. What I feel like is you speak directly to me in a way that doesn't make me feel stupid, because your message is so simple that I don't feel stupid. So he constantly reinforces, she broke it, I'll fix it. She broke it, I'll fix it. She broke it, I'll fix it. Make America great again. Make America great again. He refers to himself in the third person, so you're constantly thinking about him, not just because he's a clinical narcissist, but because it's part of his marketing technique too.
It is.
We don't understand how many things are in this.
That part. And he was able to tap in to a certain level of emotion for people. Fear. Right? They're eating dogs and cats. It sounds crazy, but it's fearful for some people. Yep. I ain't saying it's right.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want the Democrats to be a cult.
No, we don't want you to be a cult.
But that's what I'm saying. Because
we want messaging that connects.
I am open. I promise y'all, I am open to hearing feedback, but it's gonna have to be an example other than.
But it's the thing.
Trump.
But the thing is, we have to accept the fact
he was actually making sense while he was talking.
But if it's working, we have to acknowledge the fact that it's working, and that's the issue.
So hate works. We know that.
We know that.
So how do we get the Democratic message to be hate?
It's not just that hate works. It's what people want, and if what people want happens to align with hate,
yes,
you understand, because they would not perceive it as hate. They would perceive it as traditional values.
But here's my thing.
That's why we have the indictment on the American people at the
because
end
America is not better than this. We got exactly what we asked for.
Exactly what we asked for.
Give us Barabbas.
That is the point.
That is the point.
That
and
is
at the end of the day, it's going to create judgment.
It is.
That's what it's going to come down to. Everything happened. God appoints.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
God appoints everything. And so at the end of the day, I'm telling you right now, this wasn't even about the natural stuff. This was spiritual. And I'm telling you right now,
and to your point,
coming.
The biggest problem is not going to be Donald Trump.
It's not.
It's going to be Elon Musk. And I'm telling you that right now. And mark my words.
They're already finding that out.
Mark my words. He is the real problem. If you all read your Bible
from South Africa,
please know
from South Africa.
Is coming.
Did you say the illegal immigrant from South Africa? Is that what you said? Oh, okay.
From South Africa.
Please know.
No, absolutely.
The access to power, and because Trump is a narcissist, his susceptibility makes him able to be puppeted in ways that is dangerous.
But they already fighting, y'all. They already fighting.
Just like him and Putin already fighting.
Yep.
Because Putin put his wife's pictures on national government TV.
But this is it. Like, we can be nitpicky and we can be like diving into a bunch of stuff. But I think if we miss the larger point that Ty has been telling us, slightly 2 weeks before the election, but definitely after the election, if we don't listen to that, I think we're missing a really big opportunity for what it is some of us should be taking away from what happened, and that is to clean up our own houses and prepare.
Please understand.
And on that note, we got to run.
That's it, y'all.
We got to run. Hope you enjoyed the show. Drop your comments in the feed. We love to hear from them. Hope you enjoyed it. Alvin, glad to have you back.
Yes.
Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing to someone else. Peace.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of The Crew Radio Show. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. We're always looking for great sponsors to support the show. If your company would like to reach our highly engaged audience, please drop us a line at thecrewradioshow757@gmail.com. Until next time, thank you for kicking it with the crew.